Welcome to the Retiring Canada podcast, where our mission is to educate and empower you to make the most informed, rational, and productive financial decisions. Hosted by certified financial planner, author, and chartered investment manager Michael Isbister, you'll go behind the scenes to uncover the tips and strategies to help you invest smarter, optimize your retirement income, and reduce the amount of tax you pay. Michael is an investment advisor with Fundamental Wealth, a trade name of Harbourfront Wealth Management, an IROC dealer. And now, here's your host, Michael Isbister.
Hello everyone, and welcome again to the Retiring Canada podcast. In today's episode, we're going to discuss 5 mistakes to avoid in your first year of retirement. Specifically, I'm going to chat about the importance of having a tax plan, ways to optimize your retirement income, how proper asset allocation impacts your long-term retirement prospects, the issue with being too conservative, why that if the numbers make sense, you should retire today, and lastly, as always, a few action items for you to consider. Now, the importance of the decisions you make in your first year of retirement cannot be understated. The decisions you choose to make or don't make because you're unaware of them can have a lasting impact on your ability to stay retired for the long term. And in the worst case, may force your hand to rejoin the workforce and unretire altogether. No thanks. In today's episode, I want to discuss 5 crucial mistakes that must be avoided in that first year of retirement. And while some of these items should already be in place before you retire, it's an important reminder that all of your years of retirement planning could be unwound very quickly if proper consideration isn't given. Now, the first mistake to avoid is poor tax planning. There are unique tax planning opportunities that present themselves in the first year of retirement, and you could be leaving money on the table at best, and at the worst, setting yourself up for a long-term retirement and estate plan that is at risk. So what are some examples? Well, first off, if you and or your spouse are high income earners, that last year may represent an opportunity to top up RRSPs or spousal RRSPs to their maximum to benefit from your final high income year. This is often done the following year after work around the RRSP deadline. So while you're enjoying those first few months of the new year freshly retired, be sure to consider topping up those accounts before the deadline. This is especially important if your final year of work, you also received a severance or bonus that bumps you up into a higher tax bracket. Now, on the flip side of this decision, you could be withdrawing funds from your RRSP or RIF at the end of the year in your first year of retirement. So for some retirees, they may have enough saved up to float a portion of their first year's income needs, or their spouse continues to work and their spouse's income is able to support their household needs. However, when we look at this with an income tax lens, we discover there may be an opportunity. So in English, this means you may be able to optimize your tax brackets by drawing money out of your taxable accounts like your RRSPs or RIFs in the first year, even if you don't need the money for income needs that first year. Now, you may be thinking, Michael, you're saying, contribute to an RRSP before the deadline and then take that money out at the end of the year. And the answer is, well, maybe. So for example, let's say you're a high income earner making around $200,000 a year. If you retired in December, you would have a full year of income that would be taxable. So you would want to consider topping up RRSPs in January or February the next year to get your tax deduction. So in this case, let's say you make a $50,000 contribution and have a marginal tax rate of 40%. You would save approximately $20,000 in tax. Now, let's say that, you've saved up quite a bit of excess cash in your savings account. That means maybe you don't necessarily need to draw from your investments right away. Or, like I said earlier, maybe your spouse continues to work and there's no need to withdraw from your investment accounts. Come fall, your effective tax bill is 0 because the savings you're living off of is already tax-paid dollars, or you're simply not drawing on anything because, again, your spouse is still working. So at this point, you consider optimizing tax brackets and withdraw $50,000 from your RRSP or RIF account, even though you literally just contributed $50,000 to an RRSP a few months prior. On this withdrawal, assuming your marginal tax rate is now 20%, you will only pay approximately $10,000 in tax. So taking a step back in this scenario, making a contribution to an RRSP and saving $20,000 in tax, and then paying $10,000 when the money is withdrawn is an effective $10,000 in permanent tax savings. Now, if we apply this same sort of planning to the first few years of retirement, both the short-term tax benefits and the long-term tax efficiency of your retirement portfolio will reverberate throughout your entire retirement. Now, the next mistake to avoid is taking your CPP pension plan too early. Many retirees I come across think it's best to get their money out of CPP as early as possible and may consider starting their pension as early as 60. Now, the core issue at play here is that every individual's optimized CPP start date is unique to their situation. There are countless variables that must be considered when choosing this date. Good genetics versus bad genetics, large retirement nest egg or small, working part-time in retirement or not at all, one spouse continuing to work, single or married, lots of RSPs or none at all. These are just some of the variables that need to be taken into account when choosing a CPP start date. That all being said, many Canadians discount the true value of delaying their CPP, not only from an income standpoint, but from a tax planning standpoint. See, the first few years of your retirement, let's say between 60 and 65, present a unique planning opportunity, especially for those of you with RSPs, LIRAs, and defined contribution pensions that are north of $1 million. When we look at the CPP start date decision with a tax and retirement longevity lens, you will start to discover strategies that will not only reduce your lifetime tax bill, but also strengthen your ability to retire and stay retired. This is one of the core planning questions we answer in our fundamental retirement plan process, so I encourage you to visit our website to check it out and learn more. The third mistake you'll want to avoid is poor asset allocation. I continue to come across stock picking portfolios that are overweight in Canadian equity and high fee mutual fund portfolios that don't really follow any rhyme or reason. Now, without proper asset allocation in your portfolio, you could be leaving growth on the table at worst and potentially overexposing your retirement portfolio to market downturn that could have a material impact on your retirement. Now, in my experience, simpler is usually better. Stick to low-cost solutions that remove the guesswork and focus your efforts on minimizing tax and optimizing your retirement income in good times and bad. Now, to take that a step further, I often see a blanket asset allocation applied to all accounts. Let me explain that in English. Now, let's say you open your household's retirement portfolio statement today and you see a non-registered account worth $250,000, two maxed out tax-free savings accounts worth $250,000, and RSP and LIRAs worth, say, around $1 million. So in total, a retirement nest egg worth $1.5 million. Now, after going through the fundamental retirement plan process, we discover that your TFSAs will likely never be required for income, or at the very least won't be touched for at least 20 years. Taking a step back now and looking at the balanced asset allocation that's been applied to all of your retirement accounts, we discover that your asset allocation plan does not factor in this account-specific time frame. Knowing that the TFSA has a longer time horizon and can stay invested and compound more over time, would it not make sense to assume a bit more risk in that TFSA portfolio to maximize the long-term growth potential? Now, as with all decisions, no two retirement plans are alike, so please assess your risk tolerance and speak with a professional that will build a holistic plan before considering this type of change to your retirement portfolio. Now, the fourth mistake to avoid in that first year of retirement is not having a retirement income plan. This includes factoring in all sources of income, so things like investments, CPP, OAS, part-time work, and more. Next, you need to understand the tax consequences of each source of income and determine the marginal tax bracket your intended withdrawals will place you in. And lastly, you need to maximize your income splitting options with your spouse, optimize your non-refundable tax credits, and forecast into the future how these income sources will grow and evolve over time. Further to this point, your retirement income plan must factor in an inevitable market downturn. Because if your retirement lasts 30 years, you will unwillingly participate in 3, 4, 5, or even more market corrections. What is your plan for when that happens? This is especially crucial when you are newly retired. A market downturn in your first year or second year of retirement can have a lasting impact. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have $1 million retirement portfolio and draw out $50,000 a year to supplement other sources of income, so this represents a 5% withdrawal from your portfolio. Let's say in that first year you draw out that 5% plus your retirement portfolio drops by 10% due to market conditions. This is a 15% decrease in your portfolio, which is now only worth $850,000. In order to get back to a $1 million portfolio the following year and draw down the same $50,000 as an income, your portfolio would need to return over 20% just to get back to even, not the minus 15 that was drawn down the prior year. This is why having an income plan for when markets decrease, not if markets decrease, is so incredibly crucial. In this scenario, having proper asset allocation across retirement accounts would allow this retirement investor to pivot their income sources to solutions that were better insulated from a market downturn, whether that is, a combination of cash, high interest savings, laddered bonds, alternative funds, and more. The fifth mistake you need to avoid in that first year of retirement is becoming overly conservative. Historically, a retirement investor does need to assume some equity risk in their portfolio to ensure their monies keep pace with inflation, a topic I discussed in length in my previous episode. Now, while shifting to high-interest savings accounts and GICs may make you feel warm and cozy, the reality is that the purchasing power of your dollar is getting eroded each and every year. Fast forward 20-25 years, while there may be some money still in place, what each of those dollars will get you is substantially less. If you are a very conservative investor at heart, I encourage you to gain a deeper understanding of the markets, develop a retirement income plan that factors in when you will need to access the funds, and learn about inflation risk and interest rate risk, and not solely focus on market risk. At the end of the day, you only get one opportunity to retire. And avoiding these mistakes in the first few years of retirement are absolutely crucial. That being said, I want to add one bonus quote unquote mistake you should also avoid. That is not retiring early and enjoying your health. Once you have the confidence to retire and have a plan built where the numbers work, just do it. Travel to Europe, take the kids on that cruise, head to the US for a baseball game, whatever it is, just do it. When you're 75, 80, 85, and your health begins to waver, you can't purchase travel insurance and start to have mobility issues. Will it be more important to you that you have an extra $250,000 in cash in your estate to give to your kids when you die? Or would you rather have memories of a fulfilling retirement rife with experiences and a life well lived? You get to decide. Okay, so that'll do it for today. Here are your action items for today's episode. First off, crack open your investment statements. If you open your portfolio and see a balanced fund blanketed across all of your accounts, it's time for a review. Now, while this may be suitable in some scenarios, others could benefit from creating a plan that may highlight the value of different asset allocations across different accounts. Next, jot down these 5 mistakes and make a plan to address each of them. If you need help, I encourage you to check out our website to learn more about our fundamental retirement plan process. Okay, so that'll do it for today's episode. Be sure to check us out on our socials, LinkedIn and Facebook. Be sure to sign up for our weekly Retiring Canada newsletter. And hey, when it comes to your retirement, don't take chances. Make a plan so you can retire with confidence.
All comments are of a general nature and should not be relied upon as individual advice. The views and opinions expressed in this commentary may not necessarily reflect those of Harbourfront Wealth Management. While every attempt is made to ensure accuracy, facts and figures are not guaranteed. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing or tax advice. Please seek advice from your accountant regarding anything raised in the content of the podcast regarding your individual tax situation. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.